So this lesson is on volcanoes and plate tectonics. So you're going to notice a lot of this lesson is actually review of things we've done before because we've learned about plate tectonics and we've learned a little bit about volcanoes. So this first slide you have seen 2 other times, but I figured I'd throw it in one more time just in case you've forgotten what these 2 terms mean. So if you have these written down or memorized, you would not need to write these again. So magma and lava are basically the same thing. They're both molten rock. It's just where we find them. So magma is inside the earth. It's under the earth's crust. Lava is on the earth's surface. It's what comes out on top of the volcano. So where do volcanoes form? That's what a lot of this lesson is about today. So usually it's going to be along plate boundaries. There is one exception where I'm going to get to, but for the most part, you're going to find it around those plate boundaries. You're going to recognize a lot of words on this slide. So these are the 3 places where you're going to get volcanoes forming. So the first is divergent plates. We've talked about this. So divergent plates are plates that are moving apart. So they start together, they're moving apart. They're formed at mid-ocean ridges. And if you think about them coming apart, then that gives room for that magma to come up, break through the Earth's crust, and cause a volcano. Convergent is when plates are moving together, and sometimes one will slip or slide underneath the other one, and that allows for that magma to creep up and come out of a volcano. So 2 examples, which I'm going to show on the next slide, are the island arc and the ring of fire. So I'll talk about those on the next slide. Another term that goes hand in hand with convergent is subducting or subduction zone. So if you see convergent, subduction, those 2 are going to go together. The third type, so this is our exception. I said that volcanoes form along plate boundaries, divergent, convergent. This is the one exception. There are hot spot volcanoes out there, and they can happen not at a boundary, they can actually happen in the middle of a plate. So how's this happening? So the magma that's deep in the mantle, it can rise and melt and actually come through that crust, not at a plate boundary. The Hawaiian Islands are actually this. The Hawaiian Islands are not on a plate, but that magma that's in that mantle, that should be mantle, rises and it melts as it comes through the crust. So kind of amazing that that works, but tons of volcanoes on Hawaii. So 2 things I wanted to show you little pictures of here. So the island arc, which both of these were convergent formings of volcanoes. So the island arc has a string of islands with volcanoes. So you can see in the picture, there's a volcano, there's a volcano, there's a volcano. So coming up, the plates coming together, one slides underneath, but then you get a string of them together. And this is going to be along deep ocean trenches. The ring of fire, this is probably the most popular locations for volcanoes. So it's a major belt of volcanoes. So in my picture here, so this is North America, and this over here would be Asia. There are a ton of volcanoes all along here. They've nicknamed it the Ring of Fire. You can probably figure out why. So here's our Pacific Ocean. So then that rim along there has all those different volcanoes. So short lesson for today, but that's just the start of what we're going to be learning about with volcanoes.